I'm Allie. I came out after 20 years of marriage and I have 3 kids.
I'm Melissa and I have 2 kids and I came out at 37 after an 11-year marriage.
This podcast is about coming out later and the struggles and victories that come with it.
When coming out feels like the end of the world, but it's really just the beginning.
This is the Lesbian Chronicles.
We're just winging it. Welcome to Lesbian Chronicles, whatever.
Well, the truth is I have 30 minutes and then I've got to get home because I have something very exciting happening tonight.
Do you care to share?
I'm going to see my numero uno favorite, Jason Isbell.
I was going to say, I was going to guess, I was going to throw it out there, but then I was like, what if I'm wrong?
Nope, that's the one.
That's the one. Awesome.
But you know, now that he's divorced, I actually really loved his wife. And she toured with him like a lot of the times we've seen them. She's there too.
Mm-hmm.
Now that they're divorced.
Oh, really? So
yeah,
she's still there?
It's kind of like a bummer. She's not going to be there.
Oh, she's not going to be there. I thought you were saying she's still there, like still supporting him. And I was like,
no. So it's kind of like, because it used to be so cool because she's like an incredible fiddle player, but she would like, it's almost like getting 2 shows in one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But I mean, I still love him. But
yeah, you've seen him a lot, I feel like.
Yeah, I've seen him so many times, but now he has a new album out. Well, it's not that new anymore, but new to me.
And you're battling something right now.
No. So I went to read at a soccer game. I screamed like really loud at it, which I never do. But I woke up like this after that. And it was, I went to my parents' house. I've been up traveling all week. And right when I saw my mom and dad, I'm like, don't worry, I'm not sick.
Oh,
I'm just a horse.
I just screamed my ass off. And now you're going to a concert.
But the truth is I was sick. And so now my dad is sick. So I'm like, oh God, yeah.
Wasn't me.
I know.
And don't you hate getting sick now? Like, I'm like scared to tell people. Like, I had COVID back in September and I had gone to Music Midtown over the weekend and I hated having to like text my friends and be like, hey,
I have COVID. I know.
What?
I took a test and it was negative. But
yeah.
I felt like it was my dad's birthday and there was no way I wasn't going. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, but I'm back and at it.
Yay.
Yep. How are you doing?
And I'm hanging in there, man. I feel like I say that every week, but
I know.
Life's been rough lately.
It's touch and go. It's touch and go. It's crazy because I'm the same way, but also I notice like my kids, like the highs and lows.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's like 1 minute they're on top of the world, and then the next minute it's like down and out.
I mean, I guess it's just life, and like I don't know if I just don't have a good memory of like my childhood and teenage and 20s, but I feel like I didn't worry that much back then. And now it's just like there's always fucking something.
I know. Let me tell you this other amazing thing. This is the bigger, most amazing thing that happened is that for highs and lows. So, you know, Owen, our oldest, is applying to colleges.
Mm-hmm.
And so last night was like the kind of D-Day. It's like the big schools, the schools he's looking at, they all tell you on the same day at the same exact time.
Oh,
and
wow.
He was like dreading. I mean, this is a kid that like, I mean, you know, he works so hard. Like it's so important to him. He's very nerdy. He's very into school. And so we did this thing where we were like, we're going to have you basically pick a card and that card represents a school. And we're going to check that letter just one at a time. But right before we had like a week ago, he had found out from another school that was kind of his like backup. Like if I don't get into my schools I really want, I'm going to go here. And he got waitlisted at the fucking backup.
Oh, wow.
So he was like, oh God, like I'm screwed. Like, what am I going to do? Like now everything basically, these are my dream schools now. And so we were kind of like, Chris and I were both kind of like together, oh, shit, but also like hopeful that like something would turn out, but scared to death. So anyway, so last night we came here to my office and we sat down. I took a video of it. I'll send it to you. It's unbelievable. But he sat down and he's like shaking and like, you know, he's nervous. He's like, I don't even want to click it. I'm like, just get it over with. Like we've got 6 schools, like just do it. Even if you get waitlisted at all of them, At least you'll know. Like I'm doing all the things you do and building him up. But he ended up getting into basically 4 of the 6 and he knows where he's going now. And he's like, was screaming,
Wow.
cheering. I mean, it's like the only his dream in life was to go here and he's going. So
Can you share where it is?
yeah, I can share because he hasn't told them yet, but he will. He's going to Brown in Rhode Island. Yeah.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah, he's really, really excited. But what's cooler than that is that before he even found out about that one, when he was opening the other, or like you click and then you wait for it to like load, he got into 2 others that were like total reaches that we were like either here nor there. So he felt like $1,000,000 last night.
That's amazing.
Just felt like everything was worth it.
Yeah.
He's like, I know now that like it's doable and it's worth it is the main thing. Like to buckle down and do it.
And Brown is in Rhode Island. Is that what you said?
Brown is in Rhode Island.
Okay. Wow,
Yep.
that's awesome.
He's excited. He's very
well. Congratulations to you too. I mean, geez.
I know. No, we're
you
all
get some
fun.
credit here.
And it's not close to Tatum, but it's like not that far by train. So it feels like I'll be able to visit both kids at once.
Yeah.
They're
that's
both
amazing.
kind of up there in the Northeast. He could have been in California very easily.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been tough.
I know. So I'm so thankful.
While we're sharing wins, Kaylin, my daughter, just won this like econ games competition that they do at their school.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was actually today.
What's the game?
It's like they basically like it's kind of like they're given like a scenario of a business.
Okay.
And they have to solve the problem.
Oh my God.
And
I love
present how they're gonna do it. And
yeah.
like they do all this practice like leading up to it where they're learning all these different like terms for marketing and like economic terms and
oh my
and
God,
really kind of
so
like
cool.
diving into like the business world.
Yeah.
So this is the second year that she's done it. Last year they got first or second place. This year that her team won. So
that's incredible. Oh my God, I would love it if my kids had that.
Yeah. I mean, it's so cool. Like, I think the interesting thing about like raising kids is like everyone always talks about the sports aspect, like what sports does your kid play? And that's the avenue we took for a long time was like the soccer and all that stuff. But my kids are doing so much it's better and so much happier doing these kind of like things that you never even thought of.
Yeah. It's
like,
more up their alley. It's like Owen. Yeah.
Yeah. My son does coding. He loves that. Yep. And Kaylin plays the ukulele, loves this econ games. Like she's making videos on her own too, like creative,
really
like
useful later in life.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So just like life in general, we don't have to follow what everybody fucking else is doing.
Oh God, no.
Like, I was trying to find a topic for this week because we both just life is just kicking my ass right now. And so I was going through the emails before we got on here and I read through a few of them. And, we've got people emailing saying like, I've got a girlfriend, I'm still married, I feel bad, but my husband knows, or like, we had another one where this woman, I think they bought a house and like, she lives in the bottom level, the husband lives in the top level, and they're like dividing time with their kids. And like people are saying that they're in polyamorous relationships. And my whole thing is like, everybody's just fucking making it work, like we don't have to follow a rule book, a playbook for how this looks. If you're living your life and feeling better about who you are, then go for it. Like, don't worry about what everyone else does.
And maybe it works for a year and then you pivot and do something else.
Yeah.
Like there's no harm in whatever path you choose to take.
And I think that's where people get really like hung up on stuff is like, how am I going to do this? How does this look? How do I look like have the traditional relationship, but be gay? How do I keep a good relationship with my ex-husband? All that stuff. But it's like, there's really no rule book for this.
No, there's no rule book. And yeah, you can always change your mind.
You can always change your mind.
Like flip it around. I've known so many people who said they started out doing the open marriage thing and they did that for a while and then that didn't work and then they moved to something else. Like I think there's a million ways that you can get validity around what you're doing and get the data you need to make the decisions you want to make.
And I would say too, that majority of people that we have talked to over the years, like 95% had some form of experience with a woman before, either telling their husband or before finalizing their divorce.
Yeah. I do feel
And
like
I
I'm always
think,
shocked when that's not the case.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
we need to like let go of the guilt there.
Yeah.
Like it's, I don't know. I hate to say that it's like different than actually like cheating, you know, especially like if you're separated and you have the agreement that you can date other people. But I think we all get like hung up on like, is that an affair, you know, all this stuff. But I think if you're like at the end of the day, if you're honest and it's not like ongoing for months on end, and you're just
Secretly.
trying to collect data to figure out what steps you need to take, like let go of that fucking guilt, man. You're just trying to survive.
I think sometimes though people get confused when they're like if they're still married and they're having like starting to explore another relationship, you have this feeling of like well guilt for one, but then also the recklessness of it you might mistake for butterflies or anxiety that you're like liking it, but it might just be the drama of the affair in some
A
ways.
100%.
Yeah. So it's like, don't get caught up in that piece of it because
Yeah.
that's
I
harmful,
that's
really.
something I've just recently like heard about too, is like if you're getting butterflies with someone, check yourself.
Yeah.
Like butterflies could just be massive anxiety,
Yeah. Right.
and that person's inconsistent and not really showing up, or you're afraid of their reaction or something like
Right.
that. Like, is it really
Totally.
butterflies?
Yeah. And the inconsistency, I think, is something to really pay attention to. And
That's
sometimes you
yeah.
do bond around the trauma. It's like, oh, I'm having this affair. And then it becomes like illicit. And then you're with this person who kind of knows the secret. And there's like bonding over the secret. And it's like, that doesn't feel real to me.
Yeah. I wonder if there's like studies on that kind of stuff of like when people are having an affair, like the dopamine that's kicking in for them, that's
Yeah.
really at the center of what's happening. It's not so much that they're being like loved and fulfilled in this different way. It's the drug of it all, the sneaking around, the having the secret
Yeah.
with this person, and being someone who you're not typically.
Yeah. Being someone who you're not typically, I think it's
Like,
so true. And when I first met my partner, we have this like hilarious story where we we both had dated the same woman like years ago.
mm-hmm,
And so people would say to us, like, oh, it's never going to work. You guys are just like trauma bonding over this crazy ex.
mm-hmm,
And I remember thinking, like, God, maybe that's the
maybe.
fascination, at the beginning. It wasn't. We've stayed together, but I just remember thinking that was like interesting that people thought they are not really going to work out. It's really just this common thing they have.
Yeah.
And that could be
But I
sometimes.
mean, it could be, and I
Yeah,
think
for
I
sure.
think that's been the case sometimes. You know, people do
For
have trauma
sure.
bonds, but yeah, I think at this point, you guys have proven that that isn't the case if it's been this long.
It won't be that. It could be something else, but it won't be that.
It won't be that. It won't be that.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, Another email that we had was about catfishing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've never had this happen, but I've heard people talk about it.
And yeah, it's been a while since I've been on the app, so I don't like have current experience with this, but according to the email, this woman was saying that it is so frequent, like it is every other swipe on some of these apps, that you're having to like decipher whether or not these people are real. And I'm like, that's exhausting. That would make me not want to be on the apps anymore.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Um, but I also know that the apps are kind of like the only avenue for some people. Like if you're not in a big city where there's events happening, or your city's not very like gay friendly, the apps are kind of your only option. So I guess I just want to put this out as a reminder. Like if it seems too good to be true, it probably is,
Yeah,
you
that's valid.
know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think the other thing to look out for is when people are just like super duper eager to talk to you, like they want to instantly go into the whole, like, what's your favorite color? And like deep dive on all the
Yeah.
things. A big thing that I used to do was to ask for someone's social media, like almost right away. If I can see that you have an Instagram or even a LinkedIn, I don't know, maybe that's a little bit too personal, but see that you are a real human, then that would make me feel better. And if someone's like, for instance, it's been a while since I've shared this story, but when I was first coming out, I got on the app Her, and that app it was like so many catfish on there. And I had no clue even to like be on the lookout for this kind of stuff. Like it wasn't even like in my wheelhouse of like, this was a possibility that whoever I'm talking to could just be like a 45-year-old man in his mom's basement.
Oh my God.
And I'm like talking to this woman, and she says she's in the military, all this stuff. Like she's got cute pictures. And I asked if she had Facebook, and she was like, yeah, I do. Just give me a second. I'll send you the link. And I get the link and I click on the Facebook profile. It's literally just been created. She said that she was in the military. She misspelled the word sergeant. If we know anything about someone in the fucking military, they're not misspelling their rank.
No.
And then at that point, I was like, all right, I'm going to reverse Google. Like, I know this person's fake, but I want to know, like, where did these pictures come from? So I did the reverse Google image search. They were like linked to someone else's Instagram with a different name. She was in the military. I don't really understand the point. And that's one thing that I really wonder. My only thought is that there's some really creepy dudes out there who get off on talking to lesbians and pretending to be lesbians.
That's weird.
Like, that's weird. And I think another red flag is if you're having a conversation with someone and it leads to sex really quickly, like gets really flirty very quickly or sexual in some kind of way. To me, that's a massive red flag.
What if your catfish situation isn't that maybe she feels like she's so unattractive. This is like me just like spitballing. But what if it's not the creepy guy in the basement? It's the woman who desperately wants to talk to women.
I mean, that could be it too.
She's attractive enough. So she has to like make up a fake person.
Like if you've ever watched the show Catfish.
Yeah.
That would happen all the time. I haven't watched that show in years, but
people would be like not attractive or
they weren't attractive and they wanted to be this person that they were presenting.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yep. You know, and they weren't confident in themselves and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing that happens. It's just people who their lives suck, you know?
Yeah.
But it really does suck when your time's being wasted. Totally. And especially at a time when you're like looking for answers, like I was so desperate to find someone that I could talk to. And the woman that I ended up dating for like a year, my first girlfriend, I met her on an app. And my first question to her was, are you real? Because I was so freaking tired of talking to people who were fake.
Yeah,
like,
but was
it's
she
exhausting.
And she probably would have lied if she was fake. But
well, I know, but I can't remember what she said. I think she dropped some stuff about Atlanta that I pretty quickly knew, like, okay, at least this person is in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But even so, like her Facebook didn't have, she did send me her Facebook, but it only had like 3 pictures.
Yeah.
Like she did not have a lot on there.
I don't have any Facebook.
But you have Instagram.
Yeah, I have Instagram. I think Instagram too, to surf around on there. You get to know people better than you would on the dating app anyway. I
agree. I know you've mentioned like finding people that way, but I'm kind of like, how do you find people? How do you find lesbians in your area on Instagram?
Well, you wouldn't have to, you got to work at it a little bit, but at least the people are already curated. You know what I'm saying? Like if you go on my Instagram, for instance, everybody on there is curated by me. I mean, it's a great collection of human beings.
Yeah.
Men or men. So, but if you go through it, I'm sure you could start to pick apart, who am I at Pride with? Who am I hanging out? If I'm with a group of women on a Saturday night, they're probably gay. So it's like, then you can kind of dig in a little deeper. I think it would take less time to do it that way than it would do.
I guess that's true. I guess if you went on like my Instagram, you could kind of do a dive and like, find who's gay.
Me, it's like also just, I know if I go on your Instagram, again, it's a curated resource of people that are already quality.
Yeah.
I'm not following anyone who's not.
Or even some of these coming out groups that are on Facebook. I know there's several now. Like going through that and kind of looking that way, like looking at people's profiles.
Totally.
I'll also point out we're at the end of March, almost April. So Pride Month is approaching, June. So now would be a really good time for people to be looking out for what events are happening in their area for Pride and seeking out volunteer opportunities. I think that's a great way. If you don't have community, if you have no one, and you're scared to show up by yourself, volunteering, like that's immediate people that you're going to have to talk to.
Yeah, it's true. Yep.
You know, like
Yep.
show up. What are you doing? You're going to be working with someone, most likely setting stuff up, whatever, handing some pamphlets out. I don't know. And you're going to meet someone for sure.
So true. You're right. And June is national coming out, right? But not in Atlanta.
Right. So most cities throughout the US are going to be doing some sort of Pride event during June.
Okay.
Atlanta does Pride in October. And I've heard various reasons for that. One, like there's too many events happening in Piedmont Park in the summer. They weren't willing to give us the park. Another was that it's just too hot in Atlanta to do that. The list goes on. I've heard so many different things, but I am debating right now on maybe going to Chicago Pride.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, cool. Why Chicago?
Just based on the pictures and stuff that I've seen of it, like they've got a really good lesbian party that they've been doing, kind of similar to Second Friday. I'd like to check that out. And I like Chicago in the summer. Like it's been a while since I've been to Chicago, like probably 15, 20 years. And I'd like to go back and not experience it in the winter. I'm freezing my ass off. And it's just a cool city.
It's a really cool city. That's awesome. That would be a lot of fun.
So if you want to join me.
Yeah, I actually have a lot of friends. I have family in Chicago, a lot of family in Chicago, but I also have a few people that I work with live in Chicago or based in Chicago.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So I want to go for, in July for that. What is it? Taste of Chicago, where they have all the restaurants.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That would be fun too.
It's a fun time to go.
I don't know. I don't know why I'm zeroing in on Chicago, but it sounds good to me right now.
Yeah. It's kind of a New York.
Yeah. And I haven't been in a while. I've been to New York a few times. So
it's time to mix it up.
It is.
Well, what are you getting into this weekend?
Not much, actually.
You have the kids?
I do not have my kids.
Okay.
The one thing I'm thinking about doing this weekend is going for a really long walk on the Beltline.
Nice.
With my dog.
Okay.
And meeting up with some friends along the way.
Yeah.
Well, it's Easter weekend too. I guess I've got that. So it's just such great weather in Atlanta this time of year. Perfect. Like all I want to do is just be outside.
I know that's how we feel. Totally.
So
I know. I wish the concert tonight was outside.
Yeah, that's kind of a bummer. I
know,
the Tabernacle.
Totally.
The Tabernacle always scares the shit out of me too.
Really? I'll tell you what scares me is getting a ride home after.
Oh, really? Oh, like how long it takes from there? Yeah, it does. Just go pop in Park Bar and have a drink and wait for the crowds to die down. Yeah, that's what I've done.
Pushing up against that bedtime of mine.
I know, but the Tabernacle, for anyone that's not familiar, it's an old church, beautiful building, but it's feels unstable, especially when there's a large crowd in there.
Oh boy, okay, good to know.
I saw 311 there, and it was like you could feel the floor moving.
Wow.
Because everyone's jumping, you know?
Yeah. I haven't been to it. I've only seen Isabel there and Brandy Carla.
I guess no one's jumping. I saw Kid Rock there too in high school. I left.
You're going to like wild shows there.
So chaotic.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah.
We're throwing beers, like lit cigarettes. Like,
oh geez.
It sucked. Yeah.
I think this will be very tame.
I think so. I think
especially based on how I feel right now.
Right. I know. Don't scream tonight.
I know. I won't. I'll be mouthing the words.
Save the voice.
Exactly. Well, I probably need to run.
Same.
All right. Well, enjoy, and I will talk to you soon.
All right. Bye. Want to support the Lesbian Chronicles podcast? Rate us and write a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
We love listener feedback. If you'd like to share your story, email us at melissaandallie@gmail.com. That's Melissa, MELISA, and Allie, ALLI, @gmail.com. Or follow us on Instagram at Lesbian Chronicles.